Welcome to Trees in Space, the podcast that gives you an honest review of movies that you think you might want to see. I'm Nate, and
I'm Smitty.
this week we watched Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. It's a non-rated horror movie shot in English, directed by Ray's Frake Waterfield, and it was also written by the same. And I think that helped this movie.
What the director and the writer be the same person?
Yes, because
the that you in your head.
Exactly.
Yes. Okay.
It was released on February of 2013. It grossed 1.6 million with a runtime of an hour and 40 minutes.
Oh, that can't be right. There's no way that movie was an hour and 40 minutes long.
It was so quick.
Yeah, it was very quick.
The breakdown of it is the days of adventures and maritime have come to an end as Christopher Robin, now a young man, has left Winnie the Pooh and Piglet to fend for themselves. As time passes, feeling angry and abandoned, the two became feral. After getting a taste for blood, Winnie the Pooh and Piglet set off to find a new source of food. Not long before their bloody rampage begins.
Dun 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 dun. Now I know in this this review of ours that we do that we're starting now, we tend to do it off of tomatoes, Rotten Tomatoes, and we do the 5 stars and the 1 stars and the oh my god review. And I don't know because I haven't looked at it yet. I don't know how you found any 5-star reviews because this.
It was hard.
Okay.
There were a lot.
Now I will first say that the very beginning was very well done. With there was a narrator.
Yep.
English accent, and we all know English people sound so cool. And it's 100-acre wood, and they're talking, really, like someone like you're hearing the narration of the Winnie the Pooh story.
Yeah,
great. But the first moment you realize it's a little different is when he says these are misshapen people or something like that. I can't remember what he says. He's like they're abominations or something.
Like, I bumped into the hands. That was probably the only thing that I really bumped into was that Winnie the Pooh had fingers.
Yes.
And so did Piglet.
Yes.
So they're half man, half pig, and half bear. So does that mean Christopher Robin fucked?
No, because Christopher Robin found them when he was
somebody had to have done it beforehand. So who screwed these animals?
I don't know. And my question was because what the storyline goes is, and that was all drew up and stuff, and he befriended them just like the story goes, and he fed them and all until he went to college, and then he had to leave them. That's what from a child till college, so at least 10 years. I'm going to go 15 that he's seen these animals, and I got very confused, not confused, but how can I put this? Spoil alerts, everybody. Obviously, it's a very great idea. I love the idea behind it.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was great. And obviously it's low budget, and you can do what you gotta do. So what had happened, and I think this is what happened. Somebody had a Pooh Bear mask, and someone said, I can do some special effects. And then they said, we could do a live action Winnie the Pooh.
Let's rent an Airbnb somewhere.
Yes. And then someone said, let's make him murder people.
What I thought is beautiful, though, is I don't know how anybody could rate this movie as a bad movie. It was a wonderful movie. It is exactly what this movie was intended to be. I didn't expect anything less.
Okay.
I couldn't possibly expect anything more.
Well, no, it's a little.
Cinematography was well done. The acting was exactly to expectation for that level of a
That is
movie.
true.
Like everything for what this movie is, it's one of the best movies I've seen all year.
I will give props 100% to the idea behind it. I think the writing spots were kind of weak, and I'll explain that in a little bit. And 100%, 100% props. And the best thing about the movie, and that was not the costumes of Piglet and Pooh, but the special effects on the
Mm.
kills.
Oh yeah.
The the kills, unbelievably well done. I mean, when the dude
Like
got his head stepped on, the car
I'm
on the head.
the car is like that's exactly what I'm thinking of right now and he just stopped.
Yes.
I
I
was
mean,
like,
I don't know when the frick Winnie the Pooh will learn to drive, but you know what? It is what it is. Um, so I guess okay. Here's my okay. I know Winnie the Pooh in the car. You know, he's supposed to have fur. He's a Pooh bear. It was a plastic, and I'm not sure what the hell was coming out of his mouth. Was that honey the whole time? He
yeah,
drools honey.
yep.
So before Christopher Robin met them and fed them, who was feeding them? Did they get born the same time he was? So where's that storyline? I mean, they had to live somehow, and they weren't feral eating people by then. And they weren't even eating people; they were just killing them. And what happened was they started starving, so they decided they're going to eat Eeyore. I thought they would eat Piglet because it makes more sense. And I get the fact the bear's in charge because he's a fucking bear.
Right. Well, to me, Eeyore made the most sense because he's the most oppressed. He's the slowest,
The biggest probably.
the biggest. So you know you're getting a lot of meat out of that big boy.
And when they started saying the names like that, and I'm like, wait a minute, why is Pooh, well, not Pooh, but why is Piglet, Rabbit's Rabbit, Owl is Owl, but Eeyore is a donkey, and they call him Eeyore because he goes Eeyore, I guess.
Right.
But
Yeah.
what the hell is Winnie the Pooh? What the hell's a Pooh? I mean, that's not a bear. Uh,
It's not.
I want to know. Okay, spoilers. Where was Rabbit? Where was Owl? Because they
You know.
never wrote them out the script. They said they were alive and they ate Eeyore and they were together. They never showed up.
Yeah. I was trying to figure that out too. I really bumped hard into that, but I was starting to think about like when I was reading the synopsis, it was only about Winnie the like Pooh and Piglet. So I was like, well, did you know is Owl? Did they fly away somewhere else? Did
Mm-hmm.
eat Owl? Did they eat Tigger? Like, were those the next to
Yeah,
go?
Tigger wasn't mentioned at all.
No. Well, I don't think Tigger has hit the trademark yet, so he's not public domain.
Yeah, because he came out later in the thing. That makes sense. So, and maybe they left him alive for a part two. Like I thought, maybe like close to the end of the movie, they were gonna bring him in. But they didn't. And as far as the writing goes, what I mean by that is they set up a storyline of the two lovers.
Yes.
They go into the bedroom, and it goes, when did you? There's hearts on the bed. When did you have a chance to do that? Well, I called ahead, had it done. And she goes, it's just too soon. And then the other girl gets mad. They're lesbians, by the way. The girl gets mad and upset because her girlfriend doesn't appreciate the effort they put in. And that storyline went nowhere.
Yeah, it definitely fell off because I now that you bring it up, I was like, oh yeah, there was that part.
Yeah,
And the more I'm peeling back, it was like there was very little character development in
except for like
with
Christopher
what
Robin.
and
I
the
mean,
movie heavily revolved around Pooh and Piglet. Like
it
they
did.
were the main characters, and you know, was it the Freddy Krueger movie, the first one? He was only in it for 8 minutes.
I didn't know that, but yeah, it's and Pooh was definitely. They didn't wait to reveal Pooh. They didn't wait to reveal Piglet. They were there. You saw them in the costumes. I mean, the the Piglet costume was great. The Pooh one sucked. I
I
think
like the Pooh one still. It was so just eerie. It was just so creepy. It
it
was
was creepy.
just so, you know, the
Think Michael Myers with a Pooh mask on. That's what
that's
you
what I was
should
gonna
see.
say. It was just exactly like a your standard slasher film. Like,
Exactly. But there was so many parts that just I'm like, okay, like will they stop to get gas? And they found that one guy in the back and he's
yep.
freaked. Yeah. Okay. Would you have gone to that store? Would you have thought you could go into that store? Did that store look open?
No,
I
I
mean,
would not. I wouldn't even investigate it at all. And then it was like people are buying little, knickknack figures,
mm-hmm.
and I thought that guy was going to rape that young girl.
Yes, I thought something bad was gonna happen. Nothing happened there, which I guess is fine. It's just a little filler, I suppose, to kind of get the scare up. I do really appreciate the young, big breasted young lady in the hot tub taking the pictures, and
You
then
know,
she looks at it and sees poo in the back. I'm like, that's very well done. That was very well done.
right now when I first saw that, I was like, "Oh, come on! Like, really? That's all right." Then I was like, "Wait, that is totally happens.
Yes, in these
Women
movies.
do that, or people do that now. Like, that's a thing." I also appreciated that you could see her nipple.
No, I didn't really know. I mean, they were obviously fake, and she just
Yeah, but what about the first murder scene?
the first. Oh, the
Or
redhead chick running through
yeah,
the
her
woods.
shirt gets ripped off.
Mm-hmm.
Who just shoves her head right into this like slop
Yep.
chipper thing.
I don't know. Yeah, just bangs it, and then throws it in the chipper and like. And I don't know. I guess she was another friend that was supposed to come up because she was on the phone saying, You're the 100 acre wood,"
Yeah,
and it was just kind of the pacing was fine. Like you said, it went fast, and the idea behind it was wonderful. But there was a lot of just spots that just I couldn't get away from the poo face. I couldn't. I know it's supposed to be scary, but it looks so fake. There was no emotion, which is fine. But it's not a mask. It's his actual face. He
right.
should be able to, his head should. And I know they spent like at least $20 on special effects. But if they can make that death scene, the all the death scenes, if they can make them that good, they could have moved Pooh's face.
Well, they did. It had some like facial functions throughout the movie. But yeah, you're right. The eyes didn't move, but really, pigs have black eyes. They're not. You're not really seeing emotion in those freaking things
About
anyway.
Pooh, not
And at
Pig.
one point, oh, you're right, Pooh. But at one point, his eyes turned like bright red. Like they had
But
like these red circles, like they were gonna shoot laser beams.
yeah, it was something weird about that there, and there was just some very I don't know, not like the brother. Okay, the two girls in the pool. The one falls in the pool, the one gets knocked out. And so Piglet goes into the pool with the sledgehammer. And Piglet is not tall, but somehow he was tall enough to walk through the water with a sledgehammer, chasing the girl, which could easily get out at any point in time when he got in because she was far enough away. And she
Mhm.
has to swim because but she's the taller girl of the two. I'm like, she can get out of this, but she don't. And she stands there and she gets hit with a goddamn sledgehammer and busts her skull open, which was
Now,
a great scene, but that was a very weak. They
is
could have
she
done
the
something
one
better.
that was chained up in Piglet's room? Who the hell was chained in Piglet's room?
That's very good. And how did she? Because they okay. Christopher Robin gets it. Okay, hang on. At the beginning, Christopher Robin brings his fiance there
Yes,
to
meet his
introduce.
childhood friends.
Yeah, because some reason Christopher Robin, who's gone to college already, got the job already or whatever, has to figure out those are freaks. No, they're my friends. And he goes back with his wife, which is the scariest part of the movie because that
Oh my god,
woman,
she was terrified
she
over
she
any little thing. Like,
I think she's anorexic to be I don't mean to be rude about her, but I swear she has to be anorexic because she was a skeleton with skin.
I thought she was a lovely young lady.
Oh, ooh. But and so they go there and I thought it was kind of interesting because they kill her immediately. It was
Yeah, they
great.
didn't wait. No
And then
way.
and then they kind of think you kill Christopher Robin because of the picture they draw, like they threw him in a fire. That's what it looked like
Right.
to me. But they don't. They keep him alive. Pooh kept him alive. So Christopher Robin's still there, and they find the girls find Christopher Robin, free him, and then they hear someone scream. He goes, "No, get her! She's new. They brought her in this morning." And when they go see her, she's like, "It's Pooh and Piglet." She's chained up. It's Pooh and Piglet, and he gnaws on my face, and that was really good makeup too.
Mhm.
And it's like, wow, they promised, well, the oath not to talk again when Christopher left him, according to
Yeah.
the show. So how the fuck does she know anything about Pooh and Piglet? How
Right.
would she?
And she mentioned that they talked in their own little broken English, their broken
Yes,
language.
yes, but
Yeah, you're right.
and that aggravates like in what she knows everything, and and like she tells the story that we already know for, and the characters don't need to know that. They're trying to run for their life from these freaks, and of course she has the gun and it misfires when she goes in, and but I'm not sure which character it was that killed the fuck out of Piglet, but I did like that scene. The sledgehammer. This one's
Yeah.
for Leslie. This one's for Chink Chink. I shouldn't say
Oh
Chink
yeah.
Chink. God,
And
that's
then
terrible.
she got the sword through the mouth. The
Yeah,
no that
because
that thing had to have been real sharp because it had no problem going through that tree.
I think that's because of Pooh's strength. I don't think we realized how strong Pooh was till the very end of that movie.
Well, yeah, you got a sandwich between two cars. Also, I was like, who the hell is running up? And okay, all right, hang on.
See, there's
Here's
a
the
lot more problems in this movie than you remembered, isn't
but you know
there?
what? It's still not a bad movie. It's exactly what I expected it to be. It was exactly what it was. But when
And
he's
I am saying
getting
a lot of good things about it too, though. I am saying a lot of good things about
when
it.
he's getting jumped by four Australian guys that are
I
some
think they're
reason in
Australian. Yeah,
England,
yeah.
because the Hundred Acre Wood is in Europe, isn't it?
Supposed to be, yeah.
So, but I was like, wow, how'd they end up in Texas or Australia? But these guys, these redneck guys are there.
It's definitely Australia because they were Florida rednecks, is what they were.
Yeah. And then, oh, I, there's a podcast that you need to listen to. But so that whole thing, I don't know, but we're getting close to where I want to talk about ratings and reviews.
Okay, before we get to that, let me just say one more thing.
Oh, how the fuck did he grow 5 feet taller
I
and
don't.
tower over all these guys and just like Hulk smash them?
It was very poor written. That those things were. You like to mess with little girls? Get your dreams out. Like idiots. Get in the car and drive away. You couldn't because he'd have killed you. But
Or instead of pussyfooting around, beat the
yeah,
snot out of that guy.
it was very poorly done. That part was very poorly done.
It
But
was written by someone who's never been in a fight.
yeah, so tell me this. I need to know your opinion on this. At the end, because the girl who the whole movie was about, because she had to go, they had a backstory on her. She was going on vacation here to get away from her because she had a
A
stalker.
stalker. Yes.
And that was kind of weird the way they did. I mean, it's fine. She has a stalker, but the way they portrayed that, like he actually broke in the home, but doesn't matter. At the very end, Christopher Robin saves her, but
Yes.
Pooh doesn't die. Pooh grabs her hair, and he's like, "No, no, just take me. It's me you want." Did you see that twist coming?
No.
I didn't either. I appreciated that.
Now, what I did not appreciate was the overacting by Christopher Robin,
Yes,
who is having this emotion like this is his wife of 30 years. They
yes.
have 4 children and 12 grandchildren, and he is just holding her like,
Yeah.
bro, dip out. You're not doing it.
No,
Get
no.
the fuck out.
And that's what I'm saying about the bad writing. Because at the beginning, when he's with his girlfriend, that was a pretty good conversation at first. But then he goes, "Oh," you hear the scream. "Oh, that's them!" And then the first thing the wife says, she says, "Oh, it's not safe. Why is it suddenly not safe? What would that come out? And she goes, "We can't be here." And they get locked up in the bedroom and stuff. And it's like that whole writing and that whole pushing to get to that point was edited terribly, and the writing was terrible. But they had to get to a point, I guess. And
Also,
go ahead.
why would they write "get out" on the
And
windows?
not let them leave. I'm sorry. I
We're
didn't cut you
trying to
off.
get out.
They
You're
were,
killing us as we're trying to leave. We don't
yeah, they're
want to
trying to
be
leave.
here anymore.
They were trying to get out there. I would have left quickly. It's like, get in the car. He was like, you know what car? The car that's on our friend's head. I was like, sorry, Travis, you're dead. There's nothing we can do for you. Gail, Jeremy, Nate, get in. We're gone. It's like, but I did love, and I wish they would have done more on this, like the 100 Acre Wood sign. Like in
Yep.
the beginning, they should have showed him as a kid, 100 Acre Wood because it's really cute and sweet because the way it's written. Because,
Uh,
kids,
it
but then,
slowly deteriorates.
and then, because that's a scary looking sign considering it's a murder woods. And I love
Exactly.
it. So there are a few good things I did like about it. Go ahead.
So Rotten Tomatoes gave this a 3% score out of 100. The audience rating was a 50%.
Are you kidding?
I am not kidding.
Wow.
Uh, so I have some 5-star reviews. You have some 1-star reviews.
I'll go right after yours. Yeah.
This first one is Jaden V. My childhood is over. This is a 5-star, by the way. They made a horror version of Winnie the Pooh, and it's good and it's bad at the same time. I don't know what to do.
Did you write that?
Yeah.
Because that's exactly what you're saying. Okay, my first 1-star review says this. Liam, why? One of the worst movies I have ever seen. Such a waste of time. Poor Pooh Bear. No, not poor Pooh Bear. Poor everyone
for
else.
everybody else.
Yeah, and we still don't know what happened with
Her
Christopher
head
Robin.
stopped on by a car.
We don't know. I think Christopher Robin. Yeah, he snagged him and took him back with him.
No, he left.
Christopher Robin.
Yeah, I think he fled.
Oh, that's right, because it ended right then. We don't know what happened. He tried to leave, and it was still, yeah, it's left it open ended. Yeah.
Richard R says this movie is exactly what you think it is. Only thing I was disappointed in was no murderous Tigger. Unfortunately, Tigger doesn't hit public domain until 2024. Hope he's in the sequel.
That makes sense. Okay. Oh wow, your next 5-star is huge. My God, you couldn't find a shorter one than that. You'll be here in an hour and a half. Okay. Byron, whatever. Just an awful experience. There was very little depth in brain in this film. You can see the intention of the movie was not to create something disturbing or horrific, but rather to create something you could go to a top gore kills list on YouTube, and they did that.
Absolutely.
Truly could have been more creative and eerie experience for a dedicated audience. Well, I mean, they're limited. But Ray's chopped it up to a gory, meaningless slasher. Still excited to see what the series could bring forward upon its next release, as I have seen it before.
It follows the same rhythm as all the slasher films.
Yes.
Like, it's exactly the same, except this one, it broke the tradition of the code where you only really need 7 to 8 less than 10 minutes of the horror part
Yes.
of the actual murder or the villain, because the rest of it, the suspense of it, the lead in, the foreplay
Right.
is what you need.
If I was a billionaire or had that kind of money, I would probably buy this script, buy the rights of this movie. I would make a part 2. I would honor the first one, and I would make it to be a big budget or more big budget, so it looks like a Halloween or a Friday 13th or a Freddy, with the money backing it, because it does have the ability. It's there. It's just the.
I think a way to make this movie better is, let's say Christopher Robin didn't leave the 100-Acre Wood, but he ended up tearing Pharaoh with them. And then he runs a Airbnb type of bed and breakfast thing at the 100-Acre Wood and lures people in to feed his animals.
That can be part 2. He has turned because Pooh grabs him and he survives, and he feels bad for what he did, not leaving him. So he opens up the Airbnb. So you've already part 2 script's been written.
Yeah, and then you can get Tigger into it because he's public domain 2024.
Yep. We're set now.
Because he replaces freaking Piglet.
Yes, Piglet.
But Piglet could survived.
That's true. We don't know if Pooh's dead. I mean, he couldn't still be
Can
alive for sure.
assume.
Yeah, but it wouldn't have killed Pooh.
All you need is poo. Gianna B, I cannot believe I loved this movie as much as I did. I too relate to Chris with having my personal childhood friends becoming murderers. Although this triggered massive PTSD because my friends I just mentioned,
I think she's
I
being serious.
I can't help but feel the warmth connection with the movie. I love the actors were British. I had really added to the realness. However, I would have loved to see British icon Tom Holland play Christopher. Writing could have used a bit of work. However, the cinematography was bone-chilling realistic and made up for the any writing mistakes.
The mask was terrible.
I cannot thank the cast crew enough of the movie for the opportunity for me to play the man himself, Mr. Pooh. The only thing is, I felt like it could have used a K-pop song in the soundtrack. Maybe a little Butter by PTS or BTS would have been a good idea. And I also cannot believe the romance between Pooh and Christopher didn't make the movie. It was literally in the books. Overall, the movie was amazing and deserves an Oscar for Best Picture.
Pull up the movie on whatever and find out who played Pooh in the movie.
Definitely not Gianna B.
I don't know. Gianna's a male's name.
Gianna's a woman's name.
In America, it is, but it's Gianna's a male's name. And I wonder if this guy raked his own damn movie because he's acting like he did. Because that was high praise.
It was Craig David Dowsett.
Okay, fair enough. So he's
Oh, sure. I could have just looked at the sheet. It's right there in the top there.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
I don't see it on the top of the sheet.
The actors aren't in there?
No,
Oh, they didn't put them in there.
no, because no one cared enough. Okay, Valador. This is what happens when an entitled. This is what happens when an entitled moron with money buys their way into making a movie. That would be me. It has nothing to do with Winnie the Pooh. If you change the title of the character's name, you probably literally have no idea. It's a bad slasher. Uninspired, nothing to say, poorly done, bad writing, shitty effects. Some shitty effects, some tremendous effects. The production scale is pathetic. Well, I think the little tunnel that you all ended up running through with the torch, that was kind of.
I mean, they didn't have the effects budget of like Barbie with
right.
paper, cardboard, rocket ship, and
Exactly.
like the fake waves.
Exactly. The low effort doesn't begin to scratch the surface. There isn't a single redeemable quality. What did I say? Redeemable quality about this movie in quotations. Oh my god! Just some rich douchebag who idiots clinged onto until he got a movie made because they were stupid enough to think this would work. No work, effort, or thought whatsoever. Sci-fi originals look like Citizen Kane captured to this compared to this. Hopefully his career is done and no one else has to suffer through such a stupid piece of shit
Oh my god.
from a film made by a complete fucking moron. Dude,
It's so hard.
he came to what? Okay, the director writer hurt this man. That was personal. He knows the director writer. He hates him. This man stole his woman. There's why so much hate? It wasn't that bad. Even if you give it a one stump, it's not that bad. I mean,
Oh, I can't wait for you to find out how many stumps I give this movie. Leah M, best movie of all time. Such a cuteness overload. I was left with a void in my life with the absence of watching this cinematic masterpiece for the first time. I felt moved by the acting, and I almost shed a tear every time someone died. The raw emotion and honestly could make even the hardest of critics feel something. I love this movie. I spent all my money seeing this 10 times in theaters. Best thing ever. Great film for families.
I don't think this person's reviewing the right movie. I think there are a bunch of what do you call these bot people going in there trying to make this movie better than it is. Why I got a 50% by people? Because I don't think these are verified. These cannot be verified critics. That's why it took you hard to find five
They were
stars.
verified.
There's no one. Okay, then it has to be sarcasm. Or they got into the wrong movie.
I feel
They
like
thought
this one's a little bit of sarcasm, but still gave it 5 stars.
I think they were in the wrong movie. They thought they were doing Pooh, loving kid of the doggy Boo or something, and they just did the wrong one. I don't know, but then again, they weren't nearly his. I'm not sure if they were even as good as that bad one was bad. That was probably the worst review I've ever seen on anything. That was okay.
Yeah, you can
Momo
definitely
B.
use somebody to filter his Twitter remarks and comments for that one.
uh, Momo B. No matter how gloomy a movie is, I would usually want I would usually just want to appreciate filmmakers for the effort they put into making these movies. Yes. But my world, this is below the limit of my measure of gloomy. What is this? I feel someone, maybe the director or producer, should be should be arrested for assaulting me with this movie.
Oh my god. Uh Lastly for me, Naeen asks, this movie was so much fun to watch. Yes, it was not the most fulfilling in terms of story, and of course it wasn't the best in terms of acting, and by goodness it was a hoot to watch. I absolutely adored it and laughed the entire time.
Okay, see, here's the problem. I don't think the writer director wanted you to laugh at the movie, but I can see why you would because I mean, I did enjoy it, but okay. Here's my last review. Week. This is Raka Ra Raka Ra. Weak acting, strange dialogue, no storyline. Yes, there was. This movie failed to create sympathy for any of the characters. True, and attempted to make up for all its shortcomings with cheap gore. It was great gore. Me and my sister found ourselves baffled by the cringeworthy dialogue, and were left speechless by the end of the movie. Then that movie did a great job. We would have stopped watching after the first 3 minutes were it not for our curiosity about how much worse this movie could possibly get. We felt physically exhausted by the end of this mundane, awful movie. Well, then guess what? This movie had an effect on you, and that's what movies are supposed to do.
Mm. So the what the fuck review comes from Enzo O, and he says, "How do I return a free movie?"
What the? I, I don't understand. I can understand if he said, "How do I get a refund for a free movie?" I could see that. That would almost kind of make sense. I want money back for a movie I didn't pay for. Um,
He got it for free, and I guess he wants to bring it back.
it's like,
That bad? Like, I don't even want this in my house. You
but
just
it has to be streamed. It's not like he has it on DVD. It's okay, Enzo, weirdo.
So now it comes for the perfect time of the show where we give our review. We give our tradition of trees and stumps. LP, what do you give this movie?
Well, see, this is why I felt bad earlier to give Strays a one stump because I think Strays was better. No. Um uh, I was a little harder on Strays. Now that I think about it. I don't know why I hate it so much. This movie is not great by any stretch of imagination. The acting was poor. The writing was good in parts, 80% of it, 20% of it wasn't great. Special effects were wonderful. The idea behind it was great. Um, some of there are so many bad things, but there were some good things too. So for me, a four tree movie is a really top notch movie. A three tree movie is a excellent movie. Unless it has Margaret Robbie in it, then it gets an extra stump. I'm gonna give this Anything one is 1.5. I'm gonna give it 1.5 stumps. Oh, one tree, one stump.
The tree and the stump.
One
All
and a
right.
half trees.
So I found this movie to be fantastic and wonderful. Uh, I enjoyed it for exactly what it was. The cinematography, the way it was shot, the way it was edited, everything was perfect. The acting not so great, questionable choices, but you know what? It's a low budget horror movie that is an indie film. It's an independent horror film. So for me, I gave it 3 trees.
You give it 3 trees because it was low budget, so you expected it to be low budget. That's how you rate movies because
It
it's to be
no,
crap, so it's crap. I mean,
I expected it to be a lot worse. I expected like I expected to see a zipper in the back of like
uh,
the mask, or the little bits of things that I kind of had issues with. I was like, is it better than this movie that I like? Like, was it 13 Ghosts?
hmm
Really enjoy that movie, but I like this one a little bit more.
okay. So everybody watching or listening to us, whichever one you do this, and you go watch this movie, make sure you remember what you heard, so you know when you hear another review who to listen to. Because if you love this movie, you can say, okay, what Nate says is right. You, if you agree with me, what Jason said is right. So when you hear the review, you're like, oh, I gotta watch it because Nate hates it. So obviously he knows, or vice versa. Just so you know.
I will I think I should caveat that this movie would probably be best watched with friends. Get a couple group of friends together, maybe have a beverage
With
of some sort. Uh,
poison,
maybe have and vibe in some cannabis or some, probably not shrooms, but get yourself a good little buzz. Maybe have a drinking game, make it a fun party thing. But I still stand by my 3.
you, you know, we'll talk about it off air. You
Thank
don't
you
do
for
yourself
listening
a lot
to
of
Trees
room,
in
man.
Space. I've been Nate. That's been Smitty. Take care, everybody.